Almost every single Jets fan, if you were to ask them what they'd need for next season, would either say one of two things: a all-star defenseman or a all-star second-line center. I guess all-star, questionable, but a solid second-line center. A second-line center who is competent, a better upgraded center compared to Little. I think that is what any Jets fan would want and tell you if you ask them that question. But I think that there might be a better way to build the Jets' offense for next year and even their defense compared to the draft. I just made a video recently talking about Seth Jarvis and about why he might not be a best fit for the Jets compared to where, because of his game, his physicality, and all that stuff like that, and because of that center spot, and because the Jets are going to probably want to really push and find a guy to really fit that center spot and compete with it. I don't know if they take a guy who is a few years away from really being that top-level guy in that second-line center spot. And then I got thinking about, well, if they're not going to take a center to fill that role, what else could the Jets do to kind of help boost their offense or even boost their defense and look to build in free agency and in other ways to help get that top six elevated? And I came across Jack Quinn. I've always liked Jack Quinn, and I thought that if it wasn't a year where I thought the Jets needed to take a center, I thought that Jack Quinn would easily be a pick that Cheveldayoff would really like to look at. When you look at his stats playing in the OHL, it's easily a given why that you would want a guy like this. The past year, he had 52 goals in 62 games. That is absolutely insane, and that's the type of guy that any team is going to look at because if you need goal scoring, right? Now, yes, do the Jets have already insane wingers? They do. Laine is an insane winger. Connor is an insane winger, excuse me, everybody. And then you have other top-line talent, including Ehlers, Scheifele, and you have Wheeler as well on the wing, who can play center. That's a lot of top talent, but Wheeler's getting older, so what would you do to replace Wheeler in those years where he starts to maybe lose his offensive side? Bring in another top elite goal scorer in Jack Quinn in the draft. And that started where I thinking that maybe this would be more realistic than I actually thought, compared to where the Jets are taking maybe a center who isn't maybe at that NHL ready spot they want for that second line spot, but take a guy who can go a few years in the AHL, develop that offensive side, and replace Wheeler in a few years once that contract really starts to look bad and his age starts to catch up to him. I love Blake Wheeler, he's my captain and all, but every person has to realize that Father Time catches up with you eventually. And that's just something we're going to have to realize. And a guy like Jack Quinn could actually be a really beneficial player for us. And 52 goals, 37 assists for 89 points in 62 games is a pretty incredible margin. And when you look at his NHL comparisons, why not take a chance on a guy like this? He's been compared to players like TJ Oshie, Brad Marchand, Philip Forsberg, Alex DeBrincat, and even Brock Besser. Those are some really high names to begin with, especially guys like Brad Marchand, TJ Oshie. Those guys are cup champions, solid players, all-stars. Everyone on that list that they just said for comparison is an all-star. That's the type of guy that Jack Quinn could be, and I think there's a ton of potential with that. When you read what his draft review, or description, I guess what you should say, he's a powerful skater with great speed, good defensive zone awareness, confident with the puck, good stick handling, works hard at both ends of the ice, great at forcing turnovers, something that the Jets need, and something that a second line, a guy that you want that on your top six to be able to do, to force that play and start that offense, right? He's got an absolute killer shot. And he could easily become a top six forward who scores 30 goals one day. That is how they end off his thing. And that's exactly what I see a guy like Jack Quinn. And could the Jets absolutely use another top six winger to add once Blake Wheeler starts to age? Absolutely. Everyone's on this idea that trading Laine or Ehlers or even Connor to an extent for a center is the right decision. If you actually think that, you don't know hockey at all. Because the Winnipeg Jets have one of the best top sixes locked up for insane amount of money. Other than Blake Wheeler's pretty, overpay of a contract. If you had to say me, I know he earned it there, but he is old, but whatever, we're not going to talking about that. When you look at what the Jets actually have locked up, Laine on a 2-year deal, who is going to probably get an extension, hopefully if he wants to stay. Ehlers is on a good contract for, I believe, another three years, I believe. Mark Scheifele as well. Kyle Connor just signed a 7-year deal at a very good cap hit. Why are you going to be trading those guys like that? Especially when you can bring in a guy like Jack Quinn when Blake Wheeler starts to get over and have 3 years of $900,000 on your entry level, right? I just don't understand why you wouldn't want that. And I really think that I didn't think this through enough as a Jets fan about maybe taking a winger and then going and looking to solve the issues that they have already on the team in free agency might be a better situation. I made a video recently talking about why I think that Mikael Granlund of the Nashville Predators right now could be a very good fit on the Winnipeg Jets after having some bad years in Nashville, but overall having a pretty solid year and career with Minnesota. So would that be a good fit for the Jets to bring in that type of player, shore up your middle six, and then you could have a guy like Jack Quinn, who you take in this year's draft, come up in a few years even and be at a 30-goal scorer potentially for you when you have a guy like Blake Wheeler starting to age and not have that offensive upside that he does right now? I think that could be huge for the Jets. I think that this could be something that Cheveldayoff actually really looks into, because it's starting to make more and more sense to me to actually go out and try to build the team in free agency. The only issue with that is that you're putting your eggs in one basket as a GM and hoping that you can actually sign the guys you need to sign to be competitive. What happens if Grunland signs with a different team? What happens if someone that offers him more money, like what happened with Paul Stastny, right? These are all the types of things that a GM needs to realize and evaluate before going into the draft and evaluating who they take and what talent they need in what positions and so forth. Jack Quinn, and I think because of what the center types looks like this year in free agency, the potential of what they could do with even in trade with centers that are possibly available on the market, I think a winger is starting to make more and more sense for the Winnipeg Jets to look at and take. His pros and cons that I have for him: very fast skater, a great natural goal scorer with great hands and a deadly shot, and has got a lot of defensive upside as well to his game. The only cons that I have for him is that you're going to have to wait for him to probably get to the NHL, because I don't think that he's NHL ready yet. I think he would need a couple years, maybe even just a year in the AHL, but he's not NHL ready. Similar to like my problem with Seth Jarvis is, but I think because of this time, because he's a winger, and because we could fill that center spot for our top six, I think that it would make more sense to have a winger develop in the minors and have a center who would just end up, being wasted if we sign a guy to fill in that spot for the next 3 to 4 years, and then waste a guy like Seth Jarvis while he develops and plays mediocre minutes and positioning in places that really don't matter and fit his benefit, I just think that this could be a lot more beneficial to the Jets in the long run, if they went with a winger instead of a center, and then they address their center needs in free agency and their defensive needs in free agency, or trade via that way. And I think that could be the more beneficial thing to do. Because when you look at Jack Quinn and you also look at the centers that are on the market, there have been even rumors to a guy like Derek Stepan, the Arizona Coyotes, being available, who is on a 1-year contract, who will be expiring at the end of this year, and the Arizona Coyotes are in desperate need of draft capital. So why would not go out and maybe look at a guy like that if you can't get Grunland, right? There's lots of potential available for trades, and I've been talking about a lot. Philip Deneau, Max Domi, right? There's tons of available trade partners right now for centers because of the hard cap and teams looking to try to get under, and you never know what you might be able to find, right? So I think that if the Jets and Cheveldayoff and their whole management team play it smart, and they really evaluate what they have going into the draft and what they can get after the draft via trade and free agency, I think that is where we see the most impactful decisions being made in this offseason by the Jets, is within that time frame. Because I really think the more I look at the possibility of taking Jack Quinn, the more I like the way this team looks and is built in the next 3 to 4 years, and even 2 years, with what they could possibly do in free agency. I think that although the free agency hasn't been a place of progress, I guess I would say, when you look back at the Winnipeg Jets history, Steve Mason not working out, Dmitry Kulikov being an overpay, and even I guess to an extent extending Matthew Perreault at the time, was it the move that was correct? Was it not? I like Matthew Perreault, but there's just things like that. The Jets haven't ever been that team to go out and make pretty big splashes in free agency. Hell, they didn't even make trades up until Paul Stastny, really. After Paul Stastny and Kevin Hayes, we really did start to make big market impactful trades because we were competitive. So do I think that the Jets could really go out and start to really try again to be a competitive trading team and to be a team to go out and try to be a free agent destination? I think that at this point, with the roster they have, the young talent, and how well they've played in the last few years and what they've shown, I think that teams will and players will start to evaluate Winnipeg as a free agency spot. And because of that, I think looking to solve in the center spot in the draft might not be as good of a thought as some Jets fans, including myself, have thought in the past. But let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Would you rather see a winger go with a center in free agency and fix the defense in free agency, trades, whatever? But let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Would you like to see Jack Quinn in the prospect system in our pool for the Jets, or would you like to rather see a center? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video and you're brand new to the channel, definitely consider dropping a subscription. We are on that road to 200 subs, and I would really appreciate all the support you guys give by watching the videos, dropping likes and comments. It means the world to me, so thank you so much, and I hope you guys will, and see you guys in the next video. So yep, I'm gonna end it here. Peace out, take care, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.